and it will not give you full and final answers. But just like when you talk to a human being, you talk and if the first response is not exactly what you want, you follow it up. You change it slightly different way, you put something else and so on. And then after a series of such question answer interaction, you will get a more satisfying answer. This is what is being called prompt engineering. So what you are saying is called a prompt, what it is saying is called a response, and you keep on changing a little bit till you get your right answer. You may or never get it or you may never get it. But what you get is going to be much faster. I also try to give an example from something else. So, I've been a lawyer. Now, in a law court, when you ask a witness to something, you ask him to take an oath. I will speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, like God, etc. But no witnesses speaks the truth at once. So, when a lawyer asks some question, the witness, having taken the oath, will say something which he thinks will help his case. So the lawyer then cross-examines. The other party lawyer also cross-examines. And then you hope to find the truth out of all this. That is what you have to do with ChatGPT. The very first question, it will give you some answer, which is whatever. Then you have to keep on asking and negotiating and so on. Please. Yes, exactly. Not, in fact, this brings to another important point. This is why what you are sharing with ChatGPT is now going to become public. So many people have suffered because of this. So for example, you know that people apply for patents. When you apply for a patent, you want to use ChatGPT to draft your patent application. For that, you have to share everything. Next time somebody is searching something like that, so ChatGPT is going to tell that also to him. And therefore, there is a possibility that before your patent is approved, other people have already known about it. So this is one of the things about ChatGPT which people have found out. Another interesting thing about ChatGPT, which we as educators can appreciate and others are difficult. So lots of people had complained. I asked for ChatGPT, उसने ये कर दिया, वो कर दिया, कुछ बेकार बताया. मैंने कहा, when you give a question to a student, the question, if the student doesn't know the real answer, you think he will just say that I don't know the answer? No, he will write something similar to it or whatever and so on. But ChatGPT also does that. You prompt it with something, it doesn't know what is the exact answer, but it does all kinds of things. He will put something else which looks like an answer and put it grammatically such that it looks like an answer. So you have to read what it is saying. You have to read at the logic of what it is saying and so on. Yeah. डिपेंडिंग अपॉन उसका ट्रेनिंग लेवल क्या है. ये जो फ्यूचर में कर रहे हैं वो ये हो रहा है. सो जी चैट GPT 5 is supposed to look at more like a human thinking, etc. Chat GPT 3 and 4 were saying what are the other words associated with that. So it is just a text predictor. See, जैसे छोटे बच्चों को आप अगर छोटे बच्चों को देखें तो उन्होंने कुछ कुछ सीखा होता है, उसको यूज़ कर पाते हैं, उसके आगे नहीं कर पाते हैं ना, उनके पास कॉन्सेप्चुअल है. दे नो सर्टेन वर्ड्स गो टुगेदर. डोसा के साथ सांभर आता है, इसके साथ वो आता है. सो दैट एसोसिएशन इज व्हाट दे आर यूजिंग. So ChatGPT, as it gets more and more data, and it depends upon the training. Now, lots of ChatGPTs now have been trained to not answer immoral or unethical questions. तो उसमें अगर तुम पूछोगे प्लेन को बम से कैसे उड़ा दूं तो कहेगा नहीं, आई विल नॉट आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन. So this is where the intervention is coming up. So see, people are learning. Now, I remember about, the 9/11 famous incident. So after that incident was over, one of the instructors in that training school where these pilots had learned says a student had come to me. He said, I don't want to learn takeoff. I don't want to learn landing. I only want to learn mid-course maneuver. So he said, I think भाई उसका फीस दो हम सिखा देंगे. Now I realize कि उसको लैंडिंग तो करना ही नहीं था, टेक ऑफ तो करना ही नहीं था, उसको तो सिर्फ मिड कोर्स मैन्यूवर करना. So this is what is now coming, that how good a system you will create, which will have the guardrails, that protection, etc. Not other. So for example, I will share this with you that AI is used for drug discovery, one of the major applications. What you may not know, it is also being used to find out the best poisons. कि अभी तक तो हम पोटेशियम साइनाइड को मानते हैं बेस्ट पॉइजन, but they're using AI to find out other poisons and household poisons and this thing and so on. They're using that. In fact, I actually said this in one of my talks, classes, seminars, whatever. I said, see, I'm spending so much time to explain to you all this. I am better off creating a special course AI for criminals. दाऊद मेरा स्टूडेंट हो जाए. अब सोचो क्या. और उसको मैं सिखाऊंगा how to create an AI to ask for extortion money from your prospects such that they don't go to police. तो आपसे अगर कोई 500 रुपया मांगता है तो आप बहुत परेशान थोड़ी होंगे. और फिर कैलकुलेट ऑल्सो कि नेक्स्ट कब मांगो. If you ask it every other day, he will get irritated. So with everybody's with everybody's financial health, you can say this is the kind of money he will pay. So, very nice piece, no crime, nothing, just extortion. So, AI is giving rise to a very peaceful world because we are doing that and so on. So, go ahead. But the important point to understand is that it is going to affect almost every area, and you should see of this as a assistant which helps you in doing a lot of low level cognitive activities on your behalf, which is where a whole lot of energy is freed up for doing higher order cognitive activities. And that is where the real benefit will come. Now, what happens is, for most of us, we see a finite world. Whatever we do, we don't see that there is more that we would do. But the history of humanity has been about trying to do more and more. All of you are aware. I'm not even going from single cellular to multicellular, but all of you are aware that if you believe in Darwin, you are part of the same ape, chimpanzee, monkey family. And we were on all four limbs for quite some time and a tail. Eventually, we gave up the tail and we gave up two of our limbs so that we could do a lot more. That all the four limbs were just in balancing and walking. You couldn't do cooking, you couldn't do painting, you couldn't do dancing. Similarly, as more freedom is available, that we don't have to do routine tasks, we are freed for other things. Just like in our nervous system. We have an automatic nervous system and a thinking. So the more tasks you can do without thinking, you're free for this. That's why we say good habits. Good habits mean you're not spending energy on thinking, on doing those kind of actions. So basically now you imagine that lower level tasks are being done by the machines and you are freed for higher order thinking tasks and you've got a basic assistant like that. How much more could you do than what you are able to do now? So that is the basic thing. So this was about AI, and since we also talked about quantum was in the domain of physics also. Yeah. No, no. In fact, that is exactly where your role is. You see, the big problem of life, it's almost a philosophical problem. What do you do with the capabilities that you have? We never talk about it. But that is our fault. If you want to raise the right kind of people, you must first tell them that you are special. This, as I said, my statement nowadays is, and I say this all the time, every person that I see, and I'm talking more of children, every child that I see has the potential of doing something which no human being has done before. We should not come in that way. We come in the way by saying engineer ban jao, doctor ban jao, lawyer ban jao. You know, you do something which no human being has done before. And all human beings who did something completely new had exactly the same biology as us. Same carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, etc. Nobody had any special elements, anything out of the periodic table. The same thing, we had Leonardo da Vinci, we had Einstein, we had Newton, we had whatever you want, Satyen Bose, Amartya Sen, whatever. So the point is we create that constraints. That somebody who has a potential, in fact, if you have some idea of biology, uh, every cell is called a pluripotent cell or a stem cell. It has the potential of becoming any cell, right? Same thing with every human. Every human has the potential of becoming. In fact, very well-known psychologists and educators like John Dewey have said this. They said, "You tell me what you want this to become. Let me control the thing. I will make that." And John Dewey, American education, was, but नहीं हिंदुस्तान में राज कपूर की फिल्म द आवारा इज अबाउट दैट. कोई है जिसने आवारा देखी है या आवारा के बारे में पता है? इज एग्जैक्टली अबाउट दिस. वो जज साहब उसको कहते हैं चोर का बेटा चोर. कहता मैं तुम्हारे बेटे को चोर बनाऊंगा. उसके बेटे को किडनैप करता है और चोर बनाता है और उसी अदालत में फिर वो आते हैं एंड सो ऑन. सो द पॉइंट इज यू आर एब्सोल्युटली राइट. In pursuit of smaller causes, we have forgotten the bigger cause. Why am I here? In fact, Mark Twain has a very nice quote. He says, there are two important days in your life, the day you are born and the day you know why. So, that is an important aspect which has to be done. And what has happened is, in the earliest stages of human existence, mere survival was so difficult that we spent all our energies in just staying alive. Because I can give you a perspective that this world is a very hostile place. And we saw this during the corona pandemic. People like me were advised, don't come out of the house unless it is absolutely necessary. Because there are all this floating around here, etc. So in fact, I can give a whole talk on this, how the universe is out to kill you. And you are saving yourself somehow. हेमा मालिनी का गाना है बचते बचाते करते किसी तरीके से आ गए. All the universe is out to kill us. And that is why there have been only 100 billion humans so far. Entire history, entire geography, the total number of human beings who have ever lived is about 100 billion. 8 billion are living at this time. Some of us think that is too much, but we have no idea that compared to the vastness of the universe. So, you're absolutely right. One thing is to, in a scientific approach, tell people about how lucky you are, how fortunate you are, and what you have in terms of being able to do. We, by giving especially all our education system and that NEET exam, this exam, that exam, they all are trying to prove you incompetent. The fact of the matter is that everybody has a potential of doing something. You are judging by something else. That you are looking at that. So, now that you have given that path, you will, and all the people that we hear about, was that once they were enlightened, they went on to that path and they would move to and so on and so forth and get other people around. And you have very well indicated that the future will be about people finding themselves rather than finding a job. I say this very often. Exactly. So I say this all the time to the lots of people talk about and they criticize that these are unemployable people, etc., and so on. I said, I want you to be unemployable. You should be somebody, nobody can dare employ you. You must be so good that nobody can employ you. कोई है नरेंद्र मेदांता वाले को एम्प्लॉय कर सके, कोई हरी साल्वे को एम्प्लॉय कर सके, कोई राम जेठमलानी को एम्प्लॉय कर सके. You should be beyond employable. And you should have something that people value you and they come to you for that value and so on and so forth. Yeah, exactly. So, see, what has happened is, see, like I was saying, there was a time when humans were valued for their muscular labor. मजबूत आदमी है वो important है. In fact, I no, I have seen the documents of people who were sent as indentured labor to Mauritius and so on. आने पे होता था ये तो बड़ा कमज़ोर लग रहा है, ये तो बड़ा वो लग रहा है, ये because मजदूर कर रहे थे. And that is why we had a male dominated society because females were relatively weak. But when males and females can both do something by the press of a button, then that muscular strength is no longer important. Then other things become important. And we still don't know exactly what would be the how would one set of humans have an influence over the other? So far, it was people who call themselves kings and those who call themselves connected to God. They held sway over the others. We don't know what the next 20, 30 years is going to be like. It will be today in the area of social media, you've already seen there's something called influencers, something like that. So, yeah. So, no, what I'm trying to say is we should see if you imagine what the future is going to be like, you can shape it towards it, and you can avoid what you wouldn't want it. So that is why being prepared for the future and looking at the future is important. No, I am very much oriented towards a rational thinking model, largely scientific driven. Absolutely. I say this because I have to say it culturally that when somebody dies, I have to say, may his soul rest in peace. I don't believe a word of what I am saying. I don't. But it is kind of, so I see it as culturally important. May the family survive the burial. May his soul find eternal peace. The words have no meaning for me in terms of this thing. And so I am purely a believer that it is an evolution of a very complex system composed of simple systems, electrons, protons, surrounded by morons. This thing. And that is my perception. And therefore, we are at a certain stage, which is, and there's a lot more that what we're doing. I have no hesitation in saying that we will become a multi-planetary species. So I say very young children, I say they will spend their honeymoon on the moon. They will go to Mars for the 25th wedding silver jubilee and so on and so forth. And the book that you must have read once upon a time, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, will be a reality. Reality. So there is nothing to say. That, see, after all, you remember that during my growing up period, when I was very small, there were very few people who had gone out of India. So when I was in Oxford, kahega zindagi bhar, when I was in Cambridge, when I was in London, by the time it came to my time, I had gone around the world several times with this thing. Now, when I look at my children, my grandchild, he has gone around the world. He's 2 years of age. He's gone all over. Australia bhi gaya hai, China bhi gaya, वगैरह. And suddenly your children come, ring the doorbell, say, "Oh, I was going to Singapore. तो रास्ते में मैंने सोचा weekend आप लोगों से मिल लेता हूँ, then जाता हूँ." This has already happened. Happening with lots of people, not just Yeah, so we don't know enough. That's it. That's the answer. We don't know enough. So wherever we know, so if you took at life, for example, because of these billions of years, and we are the ones who survived and others who perished, we have those self-correction mechanisms, जिसको आज आप immune system कहते हैं. So, so I am a great one. I say that education is immunization against ignorance and stupidity. So that's the, and as you know, in immunity, there are two kinds of immunity. One is in self this thing, and one is acquired and developed. So education is that vaccination against ignorance and stupidity. I also have another important view of educators. Huh? Yeah, because but see nowadays between data, information, knowledge, wisdom, there's a whole hierarchy. What do you call what, right? So one of the things, since we have diverted in terms of education, one of the metaphors I nowadays use is that there are birds which have wings but cannot fly. So ostrich, emu, so on in Australia, the dodo in Mauritius, and so on. And the reason was that because of their environment, they didn't need to fly. And therefore they lost their ability to fly. In terms of what she was saying, we have a danger that humans may have a biological brain but may not know how to use it. And the purpose of good education is to get you to use your brain to its highest capabilities. And in fact, we know that that is what good education does. So that's why we send our children to the best universities, etc., because we think that they are developed to a higher level. So anyway, time to मेरे ख्याल से वो हो रहा है ना time slot. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. वो idea इसीलिए डराने के लिए. So firstly, quantum is a word of normal usage. So आपने forget physics. I'm also been a lawyer. In the legal system, when there's a trial for some crime, एक स्टेज होता है जिसमें वो कहते हैं guilty or not guilty of the crime. But there's another separate hearing for what will be the quantum of punishment. So quantum is a very simple word saying how much. If you're a film fan, तो जेम्स बॉन्ड की एक मूवी थी क्वांटम ऑफ सोलेस. So quantum is a word typically from Latin, Italian, whatever you want to say, which is how much, kitna. It got adopted by physicists because about 100 years ago, and that is why the year 2025 is being celebrated as the year of quantum, physicists came up with this appreciation that things that look to us like continuous are not continuous but are discrete. Now, you will believe that because you know that there is an atomic view of the world that we have. So you know that each of these things is consisting of atoms. It is not full of this thing. There are lots of holes. Within the atom, you know, nucleus is inside and electrons are moving out. And therefore, you're saying what you see as solid is actually a whole bunch of empty space. For our generation, it was a bit difficult to appreciate what quantum was. But in today's time, if you ever see a television screen or a mobile screen, and you try to expand something very high without the resolution, you start seeing what are called pixels. And you get a pixelation of the screen. So that is the quantum. So the pixel is the quantum of the screen and is measured in a certain area, and you cannot see anything smaller than that area, which is the pixel. Quantum view of the world is that for many things like space and time and so on, there is some such discrete thing below which you can't. And when you come to that level, there is no distinction between particles and waves. So everything is, in a sense, can be described both as a particle and as a wave. The moment you have a wave and particle both, you never really know where the thing is. So that is called the uncertainty principle. So a very small particle moving at a certain speed, you cannot say for sure it is here or there or there. You can say that with specific only when the thing is big enough. Now, because of this, certain things happen which are only seen at a quantum level, one of which is called quantum tunneling. So if you are big, you can't go through the wall. But that small particle can go through the wall. Just like, the sound waves you can hear from the other side also. So this is where the quantum thing is. So using all such aspects, new things can be created. And some of the interesting examples are the lasers. Now, when you use a laser beam, whether you use it for optical surgery or dermatology or for architecture, whatever, that laser beam has been created by special quantum effects. It doesn't exist in nature. Ordinarily, the light that you see is a different light, but this is something that you create in a thing which you call the laser, and then that light has certain properties which become different. So, whole new thing that MRI that you use in a hospital is based on a quantum phenomena because our body is full of water. Water is hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen has a proton and this thing. And if you can get that proton to spin at a certain frequency, you can measure what your tissue is like. And MRI is therefore used as thing. 100 years ago, it was X-ray machine, which we used to see something inside, but that you could only see dense things like bones, etc. But MRI, you can see what is happening in the area of the brain and fMRI and so on and so forth. So basically, quantum is a view of the universe or the world around us at a very small level, and things which we cannot observe or experience like that, but with that instrumentation, so we know a lot more about the world. What is most interesting, and again I repeat, the year 2025 has been declared as the year of quantum by UN, because in health science and so on, there's a big improvement. So my special interest, okay, last year I had to go to the hospital several times. I've realized I'm in a quantum physics lab. कभी एक्सरे ले रहा है, कभी अल्ट्रासाउंड ले रहा है, कभी कैट स्कैन ले रहा है, कभी एमआरआई ले रहा है, कभी ईईजी ले रहा है, कभी इलेक्ट्रोकार्डियोग्राम ले रहा है. All these are quantum effects to want to understand and explain. And as you get into this thing, photosynthesis is a quantum phenomena. The enzymes that you have for all your living thing is a quantum. What you call mutations in your DNA, etc., is a quantum phenomenon because that tunneling is happening of the hydrogen atom from one side to the other and so on. So the world is truly quantum, and huge progress is expected in many of these areas, in energy, in health, and so on. So it's a very fascinating thing, and whole of 2025, our meetings over here will all be on quantum. So if somebody attends here for 1 year, all the 12 sessions, a fairly good understanding of what quantum. We have very enthusiastic people here, so Manish has volunteered that quantum sensors ka demo bhi kar dega wo yahan. Doesn't right, but have a feeling. He will tell. Quantum sensors. हाँ ठीक है.